有人愿意回答他的问题吗？
好。如果要用中文。
哦，可以翻译。
我是讲一下我的观察，就是我觉得其实台湾不怕死啊，就是因为其实台湾人有那个反抗殖民的传统嘛，就是大概400年来，就是谁来就反抗谁。所以其实对于那时候国民党来台的时候，当时的台湾人来说，虽然原本是很想回归祖国，但是看到自己的政府这样子，所以还是就是希望说能够改革，然后他们就这样在228之中就死了嘛，然后一直以来都死了很多人，然后大家还是前仆后继的去改革，所以我觉得其实各国的独裁政府其实他们做的事情都是一样的，只是说死的人够不够多，然后可不可以去推翻这个政府。
就说我等下去死了，马来西亚就可以推翻这个政府，是不是？
你死了也要有策略啊，对啊。
什么策略？你现在说
策略，我没有办法告诉你啊，对啊，因为如果我有策略的话，我可能也会这么做，对啊。那对我真的只是觉得牺牲的人够多，然后独裁政府没有办法去抵挡那个攻势了之后，他自然就会退让的。但是他们现在还是有很多说法，就是我们解严应该要感谢国民党，感谢蒋经国。那这个说法其实很像是你妈家暴没被打死，应该感谢你爸。就是这种讲法还是某方面还是蛮行得通，就是对于国民党支持者，但是慢慢，我想年轻人应该会越来越不吃这一套。
Some part I understand, some part please help me. Thank you.
Okay. I will be here to translate what our friend just says.
Yes.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Our friend over there just said that throughout the Taiwan history, the Taiwanese have a long history of struggle, and they do not fear for death for their own struggle or revolution as well. And Taiwan also have a very long history of anti for the colonialism as well. So example is that when the Kuomintang is coming to Taiwan, although at the time the Taiwanese have the vision to unite go back to China mainland, but when the time they see Kuomintang in the Taiwan and they see there's the Kuomintang have their issue, and they started to try to change the nation and change the situation. So they continue to fight on whatever what. And also, we think that maybe she think that nation have many way of there are many nation have data, but if the people who are willing to sacrifice is enough, they maybe have a chance to open up a space for another changes. So I think this is what she basically says.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think maybe my immediate reaction is you're right. The Taiwanese experience is a long history, right, of struggle. That's why this activist friend of mine, he tries so hard to go back to history to find all those moments where people have struggled and create this something like a people's history of social movement in Malaysian context, so that Malaysians will feel that protest and fighting for your rights is a real part of our tradition. I think that maybe in Malaysia is still a shorter history compared to the Taiwanese experience. But of course, if you talk about how many people were willing to sacrifice, we also have our example of the people detained in many people detained under political as political prisoner. Maybe we don't have major massacre like 228, kind of big bloodshed. Apart from the the so-called ethnic riot in 1969. But I don't know, maybe, and this is the part, as a Malaysian, first of all, I think for all this academic discussion, for me, ultimately, I want to see change in my country. So for me, I don't care so much of the academic, in a sense, I do the academics is because I really want to see social change happen in Malaysia. And I think when I'm more idealistic, I always say, no, Malaysia is more complex. We are not how the classic view, the classic view is that we are all racially divided, right? And I always want to say, no, Malaysians are more complex than that. We are not a simplified way of Malays, Chinese, Indian, disunited. But it seems that maybe the Taiwan case and Malaysian case, perhaps people will say Malaysian case is very hard to create a common uniting articulation of common struggle because of this longer history of racial segregation, racial division. I don't know whether would it be true that Taiwanese have less of an ethnic component, and therefore social causes, social political issues is people articulate their struggles easier on other issue instead of at the level of is this movement beneficial for Malay or not? Is this movement beneficial for Chinese? Is it movement? I'm not sure. I'm thinking aloud. I'm also questioning myself. I refuse to accept the reality sometimes that Malaysia is very racially divided. But yeah, when I compare the results, then the question comes back. Is it the biggest problem for Malaysian progressive social movement is racial division? I don't know. Anyone has a point to share?
还有人想继续发言吗？或者是想针对刚才嘉明所发出的问题再给予解答，或者是一些自己的看法等等。
May I ask which part of the Taiwanese experience, to be exact, do you think is beneficial to Malaysia?
I see. Taiwanese experience, which part, right? Yeah. Again, of course, if we look at the specificity, right? Coming back to our main figure, Gramsci, right? He will say, beware, be careful. You cannot simply learn from one country and apply the same and say that what happened in this country will then be effective in this country, right? But when I say Taiwanese experience that I find perhaps would be inspiring, it's the long years of under an authoritarian, almost politically oppressive conditions, with the laws that curtail freedom of speech. I'm seeing it as a first-time visitor to Taiwan. When I visit the his life story and his struggle, immediately it resonates that yes, Malaysia, we don't have freedom of the press. Even today, newspapers, every year you need the Home Minister's permit to be renewed. Therefore, you cannot have, really free press. Apart from, of course, the internet, the internet is the only zone where they cannot really regulate. So I'm saying, issues like freedom of the press, in Taiwan's past when it's very controlled, then the political detainees, we also have a camp. We call it the Kamunting camp near Ipoh, right? To me, I thought, when I visit the human rights park, I said, if one day there's real democratization and freedom in Malaysia, perhaps Kamunting will be turned into a human rights park. I mean, almost that kind of imagination of political oppression. But the question is that, how the path of democratization and liberation and the conditions of it is so different. Because I totally do not analyze Taiwanese cultural politics, for example. Taiwanese cultural identity, I leave out. I'm only seeing I only see the hardware, of the hardware analysis of same political controls. Maybe I do not know about the election practices in Taiwan's history. Is it fair in the early years, or did it become progressively? Was there electoral reform? I'm just saying, yeah, from the political laws point of perspective and the basic freedoms of civil society and the press, there seems to be common experiences to be learned. Yeah. I mean, Malaysians can learn, yeah, but I'm not sure what explains the transition. That's the main.
请问还有任何的发言者，或者是想提问，或甚至或是还想跟嘉宾继续交流的呢？还有吗？还有吗？还有吗？
So it's okay. Yeah, so I mean, we can discuss. Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Just another question, following my previous one. You titled your speech in a way that by highlighting per se, but in your case analysis, all the three people, from my understanding, I have feeling it's a bit more like an analysis of counter-government rhetoric of Malay identification. Okay, so and you also mentioned about after per se 3, per se 4, and the upcoming per se 5, there some things change. So my question is, do you still think per se matters, or maybe you're talking about, I mean, the subject of your analysis is basically more like the continuous identification of the Malay people or Malaysians. So it doesn't necessarily to be tied with the thing called per se. Per se has its own life.
That's right.
Yeah, it lives, it dies, but this is a continuous response to the collective crisis of identification.
That's right. Okay. Thank you. Very well put. Better that it will help my thesis writing in sharpening how to. That's precisely what I'm saying. That per se actually is not the key focus of my argument, right? In that sense, I'm more interested about the deeper crisis of Malay identity, and I'm saying that in the progression from Reformasi, at one time before per se happened, people say that Reformasi, it's a political struggle, and at that time maybe people didn't dig deeper that it's a crisis of Malay modernization. And then 10 years later, per se happened, and new Malay actors emerged in the scene. So in essence, if per se, firstly, to address does it matter or not, right? If you ask a person like Fahmi, the activist, he is someone that is not a mainstream guy, alright? Number one, he doesn't even consider himself Malay actually. He studied in this is the contradictions of Malaysian modernization. You would say it's a good case study of the kind of Malay subjects that the new economic policy is supposed to produce. He was sent to America to study engineering with a scholarship from the Bumiputra policy, right? But instead, when he was in America studying engineering, he became a punk rock activist. Right? Of course, he completed his degree, but the point is he gained a new identity as a punk. For him, being punk is his primary identity. So DIY punk kind of spirit, that is how he identified himself. Right? So per se for me is just a moment in that in the country's social, civil society development, help him make sense for that period of his personal life trajectory. Yeah, but yeah, if Gramsci dies, but if Gramsci have not much impact, for him, it's, I won't say not a big deal, but I'm just saying that because no one, if you're an activist, whatever Gramsci do today, no one denies Gramsci is still the largest social movement in Malaysia's recent history. But what we are afraid of now is that Gramsci is losing its, the so-called, the big picture of electoral reform is being narrowed down to just anti-corruption discourse. And again, what Gramsci and Swart Hall teaches us is that how you articulate your issue will also identify who are your potential allies and supporters in the movement. If you articulate the issue as anti-corruption, will it get that much support compared to, say, when it was Gramsci 2 and 3, it was electoral reform, fighting against environmental destruction, all kinds of causes was connected to the Gramsci 2 and 3 moment. So if Gramsci 4, I mean, yeah, as much as I'm a critic of Gramsci since 4 and 5, I think personally I'm critical of how Mahathir is part of that that configuration, that dynamic now. Mahathir is part of it. I'm uneasy with having a former authoritarian prime minister being because I feel that who is articulating the agenda, right? Is it Gramsci or Mahathir? We don't know. And yeah, whether Gramsci lives or dies, I think Malay identity as a social crisis will continue. And I think one thing I do leave out, I think also connected to the earlier question about Islam actually. Many Malays feel that Islamization in Malaysian society has come to a point where it is probably one of the most, I won't say, using the word dangerous would be seeing a very biased view, because then it will be, but the way Malays are being policed by religious authorities, I think a lot of Malays are becoming more concerned about the issues of how Islam is now made into a surveillance religion, when your social behavior, your cultural behavior is being morally policed by the Islamic religious bureaucracy. So yeah, maybe Fahmi will re-articulate himself as an anti-Islamization activist in the coming days. We don't know if the Gramsci movement fades. But thank you. The way you formulated is exactly the way I want to put forward my thesis, is that it's a Malay cultural crisis of identity, but it's played out differently in those moments, whether it's social movement or political moments like elections. I think in my case, I find that too many people focus on elections, because Malaysian has this amazing addiction to elections, you know, like they think that election will change everything. And that's why in my research, I don't focus on politicians. Personally, I'm sick and tired of politicians. So I want to look at other social actors that, but then the question is, does my social actors actually affect any change? Right? That is also a problem that I have to address in my research.